different issues, or maybe folks that you recognize, and you maybe not, there's not a lot of cross-pollination going on. I know obviously with the Progressive Student Alliance, it's not true, you're all doing a great job of doing a bunch of things as one group. But are there ways that we can connect better? That we could, is there even an advantage in working together and connecting movements? Is there an advantage of connecting these voices?
Of course.
So, is there a way that we can do a better job of that on this campus or in this city?
You have to explore those possibilities, the opportunities, and see if they fit, if they work, if there's overlap in some way. So,
Well, I think one of the things that when we're only focused on a single issue, it's only a part of our personality. See, so I'll just take me. So I'm a worker. I'm retired. I'm a woman. I own a home. I have cats. I like to garden. I like to travel. I hate the capitalist system. So from a standpoint of what if we do our movements so that I'm only trying to find people who like to garden or who hate the capitalist system or who are retired auto workers, I'm like diminishing the number of people, and I'm only focusing on a little bit of every person. So I think the thing about a recognition that all of us, regardless of some other elements of our identity and personality, have a common ground in 1, 2, could be 10, could be 20 things, is the way to do what you talked about in the beginning, which is that there is this huge problem that we have that is multifaceted, and that if we only work on this one, it really allows it to get bigger and beat up somebody over here. And so that the question is, how do we attack it in such a way that we're able to actually overthrow it, get rid of it? And if we only come from the perspective that this is the only issue that is worthwhile, then it's pretty self-defeating. Which doesn't mean that everything has to be about everything, because sometimes things are the critical issue. But it does mean that every person has a way to contribute to that. So,
Thanks, Diane.
but mostly I hate the capitalist system. And then my cats.
I think what
We can't reforms on an important, public sector issue like education at the cost of transportation. And I think something that Katie said earlier about priorities, I think it's a really important point that we talk about what are their priorities, they being the holders of power, and what are our priorities, being the people that are underneath, being mostly everybody, right? I mean, I think when most of us looked at our national budget, this is the national budget, the federal budget, and it doesn't reflect most of our collective values. This red part being the military-industrial complex, all these little tiny things being everything else, right? And I think it's important to look at the federal budget not as just like a random shopping list, but literally as a national priorities list. In fact, this was something that the National Priorities Project helped us put together. And so when we look at this and it doesn't reflect our priorities, I think that that's a starting point to kind of look at a lot of different issues, from education to foreign policy.